All right, well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. We're a little past halfway through this OIS, so congratulations to Maureen and Craig and Faraz and Rob. What an incredible meeting. This is a meeting that I look forward to this time of year, every year, and really excited to be here. I'm extremely humbled to lead this panel up here, and when I'm up here with these folks, I realized how unaccomplished I am because of the great work that they've been doing. So this is going to be a really fun session. I hope all of you have your coffee topped off. We're going to dig into some disruptive innovation over the next 30 minutes. But before we get started, perhaps maybe, I know many of you know the panel, but for those that don't, maybe we can start down with Cari and move down, and then Cari and others, maybe just share who you are, what you're working on, and obviously what you're going to talk about today.
Sure. My name is Cari Stone. I'm currently the SVP of Marketing at Elios Vision, and we have an excimer laser for the treatment of mild to moderate glaucoma. I spent the last 8 years in the glaucoma space at Allergan and Alcon, both on the pharmaceutical side and on the surgical side. And today I'll be talking a little bit about Elios and about the growth of the MIGS market and what it means for patients and for surgeons.
Thanks. Good morning. I'm Morgan Micheletti. I'm a cataract refractive anterior segment surgeon at Berkeley Eye Center in Houston, Texas, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. Thank you, Anthony, for the invitation.
Good morning, everyone. Patrick Mooney, CEO of SpyGlass Pharma. Lots of friends in this room. It's great to be here. 25 years in ophthalmology, mostly at Alcon and Novartis, and spent the last 3 years helping the SpyGlass team move our long-term drug delivery product for glaucoma and other chronic diseases. So intraocular lens with long-term drug delivery at the time of cataract surgery. Thanks, Anthony, for the invite.
Good morning. My name is Susan Benton, and I'm here as a free agent at this meeting. I'm currently a strategic advisor, a consultant, and serve on the boards of several startup ophthalmic companies. And I'm here today in the capacity to speak with you about Tarsier Pharma, who's pursuing an innovative treatment for uveitic glaucoma. Thank you. Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Liane, Clamen, founder and CEO of Adaptilens. At Adaptilens, we're developing a biomimetic accommodating intraocular lens. So we're imitating the soft, flexible, young, healthy lens, allowing patients a full range of vision without any visual disturbances. And it was a big year for Adaptilens. We raised our $17.5 million Series A. We're about 1 year away from first-in-human trials.
Thanks, Liane. Well, they're all being a little humble. These experts, innovators, disruptors are truly extraordinary. I'll start on the end with Cari. You know, Cari's been with big companies like Alcon. She's in a startup now, has done some amazing work. She's a Duke MBA, but her undergrad at IU, who is, I believe, beating Ohio State right now. So Cari's got to be pretty happy. But Cari brings a ton of just wealth and knowledge to this space and a different type of mindset. Morgan is incredible. He's not only, a world-renowned cataract surgeon, he has performed over 10,000 surgical procedures. He's an innovator. He's got 6 patented medical devices. He is a podcaster. He started a podcast. He's sent lenses to the International Space Station a couple weeks ago. He will most likely be the first cataract surgeon to do cataract surgery in outer space.
I hope so.
He's just truly incredible. And he's accomplished all of this under the age of 40. And I know that because he's on the 40 under 40 list for ophthalmologists. I feel like every time I'm near Morgan, I should be holding a Dos Equis because he is the most interesting man in the world. Patrick is a long-time innovator in this space in both big companies and small companies. Patrick is the reason why I'm in ophthalmology. He hired me in at Novartis for a position many years ago, so blame him, please. But he truly is always thinking about what's great for patients, and he leads so much of his effort on that. So I think we're going to hear some great stuff today. Susan's has a history in eye care. She not only consults for all the big companies, she's also on the board of directors for 3 different companies. She truly brings a different thought process. And Liane is truly extraordinary. What she's developing and what she is doing is going to change the game in the future, and I couldn't be more excited. She's also a Harvard-trained MD and just truly an accomplished surgeon, an accomplished person. So we're really excited about this. So we're going to focus our area today on a few different areas of innovation, and then I promise you at the end we'll leave some time for a rapid fire to really, truly hear what's on their minds. But the first area I want to touch on is intraocular lenses. So maybe we start off with you, Liane, and also with Morgan, because I know you're doing some work here with this. You know, cataract surgery is the most common surgery in the world, right? This year alone in the US, according to MarketScope, by the end of the year, we will hit 5 million cataract surgeries in the US. Less than 9% of those surgeries are with premium technology lenses. Less than 9%. Think about that, right? 5 million surgeries. Patients want it all. They want to be able to have perfect contrast sensitivity. They want to be able to see up close without glasses. They don't want bothersome dysphotopsias. They want to see like they're in their 20s again. But yet the incremental, and we've had some really good innovation in IOLs, but the incremental benefit, we're still not able to give it all to them. So Liane, maybe you can talk to us a little bit about what you're working on and why you're excited for patients in the future.
Great. Thank you so much, Anthony. So we all know that presbyopia-correcting IOLs on the market today require a give and take between a range of vision, sharpness of vision or contrast sensitivity, and visual disturbances like glare and halos. And yet every lens on the market is iterating on previous lenses. At Adaptilens, we have an entirely different starting point. We are starting with nature. We're imitating nature, the young, healthy, soft, flexible lens. And I knew that in order to do this, we needed a novel material. So we've partnered with one of the best polymer chemists alive today, Professor Matt Becker at Duke University, and he has custom made for us a bottle brush polymer, a material that has the optical and mechanical properties of the young, healthy lens. So really, it's this combination of this starting point, going back to nature, and this innovative new material that allows us to imitate nature. And so our goal is to provide this range of vision without any of the negative side effects that we have today.
That's incredible. Morgan, maybe talk a little bit about how you see disruption in the future in this category.
Yeah, I think right now we have some incredible innovations in the IOL space, right? There's a lot of new technologies, new lenses that are coming out, that have come out this year or coming out in the next year or two. But I agree, they're incremental improvements, right? We're really still searching for that gold standard of a fully accommodative IOL. And every iteration of a lens that splits light, whether it's diffractive, refractive, whatever the optic principles may be, I really think are temporary placeholders. And they absolutely have a role, but over the next 5 to 10 years, they're placeholders until we have something that is going to be a more natural-like, responsive, adaptive type lens. And so, in the meantime, I think while we have those 9% of patients that are interested, I think we do have some great options. There is give and take. But I think a lot of that 9% is actually less about the available technology and more on us as surgeons to do a better job educating our patients. Because I think with proper education, I truly think, cost obviously becomes a factor, but I actually think that 9% number could be closer to 25, 30% for premium lenses with proper education to the patient.
That's great, Morgan. Thank you. I mean, patients deserve it, right? I think it's really exciting and exciting to see what this market brings because, we're all going to get to that age at some point, and me definitely before you, Morgan, but we'll get to that age at some point, and it's great to see that. Let's shift gears a little bit to glaucoma. The leading cause of blindness, right? Everyone's at risk. There's no cure. Drops and current surgical procedures only provide incremental benefits in lowering IOP. I'll maybe position this question to Cari and to Patrick because you're both going about surgical intervention in different pathways. So maybe, Cari, if we could start with you and just talk about, kind of where you see the MIGS market going over the next 10 years, because it's evolved quite a bit in the last 10 years, but where you see it going over the next 10 years and how you're working on technology to really address that.
Yeah, absolutely. So over the past decade, we've obviously seen the MIGS market transform. It's grown at about 20% annually with new procedures and new products. And just an increase in overall volume. And there's a variety of reasons for that. I mean, the first is obviously the advancement in technologies that have come to the market that have made procedures more accessible to patients and to physicians. as well as increased efficacy of these procedures. There's just been a broader awareness of glaucoma treatment as a whole for the ophthalmology community and for patients. And then I think paramount is really the shift towards earlier intervention to get patients off of drops and improve patient quality of life. So everything that has entered the market has really done that, but there's still room for incremental improvement. This is a chronic disease, and patients are going to always need a new option, and surgeons will want to customize their treatment approach and meet the patient where they are in their journey. So the more options that are out on the market, the better for patients, the better for surgeons. At Elios, as I mentioned before, we have an excimer laser for the treatment of mild to moderate glaucoma at the time of cataract surgery. We have a very novel approach to this MIGS approach. We use a photoablative gold standard excimer laser to make these very precise microchannels in the trabecular meshwork, allowing outflow into Schlemm's canal. We are currently approved in Europe and actively selling our product there. We have 8 years of data on the Elios procedure. We are currently undergoing clinical trials here in the US, and we're excited for our approval in 2025.
Thanks, Cari. Patrick, how about you? I know we've talked a lot about patient compliance, and the path that you're going is also very different. So maybe can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. I agree with Cari. Patients and doctors need better tools. We've known for decades patients struggle with adherence. All the clinical data are there. Studies show that patients, roughly 75% of the time, aren't taking their medicines. We know the medicines that we have work really well, but they don't take them for lots of reasons. And so we have to shift the needle and I think put the adherence back in the surgeon's hands, take it out of the patient's responsibility. And if there's ways to do that through surgical interventions, new laser technologies, great for patients. Long-term drug delivery systems, we've seen this advent progress since the approval of Durista in 2000, iDose last year. All of these options are better for patients and for surgeons because we're essentially taking care of the patient when we don't have to rely on their memory or their dexterity or their financial situation. We can take better care of patients, and part of the novelty of SpyGlass is where's that convenient point when the patient is already at a procedure that they need, a visually significant cataract. We know that patients are there willingly. We know that that takes time to progress, but as you said, there's 5 million cataract procedures annually, and 20% of those procedures are patients that have glaucoma or ocular hypertension. So there's a natural touch point there at a convenient time, and all cataract surgeons since second year of residency can put in a foldable IOL. So what an elegant time to be able to take the very medicines that we know to be effective, put it in a safe place in a capsular bag. This is just another tool for all surgeons. I like MIGS, and I've been a proponent of MIGS for 20 years. I still have PTSD from talking with my Alcon colleagues, in 2006, trying to get us into the MIGS space. And so these are all great options, but the reality is today, not every cataract surgeon wants to do MIGS for whatever reason. And cataract surgeons also like to do things that they have perfected over years. And so we see SpyGlass as a new and significant opportunity for the 65% of surgeons that are currently sitting on the sidelines with MIGS to be able to treat these million-plus procedures that are happening every year in the United States.
Wow. Well, Morgan, you're not one of those 65% sitting on the sidelines. What are your thoughts?
No, it's fascinating to me that we as surgeons have to be convinced to do an intervention on patients. I mean, that's fascinating to me. No other surgical field has that problem where we're like, oh, give medicines when there's a better solution. We know that, right? The light trial showed that with SLT. I actually did some of my first DSLTs yesterday on the Voyager, the Belkin device. And, it's really going to, I think we're finally at this point where glaucoma is sexy again to treat, right? Like trabs and tubes were fun during residency, but no one wanted to deal with the post-ops. But now we have early intervention. We're not waiting until patients have already had irreversible glaucomatous damage. We're intervening early, and this whole interventional mindset has really started to change the conversation to say, well, let's not wait until that patient has lost vision, let's be aggressive. And now we have all of these incredible tools that are being developed. It's just a matter of getting surgeons to say, to really get off their hands and say, do what you were trained to do, be a surgeon, take this out of the patient's hands who do. They stop using their drops, right? 75%, it's like after 6 months, stop using their drops. So why are we even putting it on them in the first place? And so I think we're at an incredible point where, especially with DSLT, hopefully that becomes first line for everyone, gets everyone going down this treatment algorithm of interventional glaucoma, and we actually have an algorithm that we're working on with a couple others for the interventional glaucoma working group. We're about to publish an algorithm that includes and involves a lot of the products and procedures you've heard about today. So it's really exciting stuff coming up soon.
Terrific, thank you, Morgan. Let's shift gears for a moment to uveitis and uveitic glaucoma. Susan, you're on a board and you're working with Tarsier and doing some interesting work. I'm really interested to hear, steroid drops have been used for 7 decades now as the only approved first line. They have miserable side effects. Can you talk to us a little bit about where you see the future going and how this can be approved?
Yeah, our most advanced program at Tarsier is actually a drop to treat uveitic glaucoma. So it is a conjugate molecule that has potent anti-inflammatory effect, because when we need to be able to treat the inflammation in the eye without causing any further damage by increasing IOP pressure in the eye and increasing glaucoma, right? So there's about 130,000 patients in the US. 30% of all non-infectious uveitis patients will progress to uveitic glaucoma, and their eyes tend to be really sick. They fail surgery. So we really are in need of something that will take care of the inflammation without increasing IOP. And TRS-01, we've done a phase 3 study here in the US, 30 centers, and we did find that this molecule controls inflammation as well as a steroid. 2/3 of all the patients had 0 to trace cells very quickly within 28 days without increasing any IOP pressure, which we did see with the steroid. So the hope is for us, and we're getting ready to do our phase 3 study, is to finally have an option for this subsegment of patients that have glaucoma as a secondary issue from treating the inflammation from uveitis. So when we sit here 2 years from now, we should have a treatment for the anterior uveitis that works as well as a steroid without this IOP collateral damage that we see. And we'll be moving into the clinic with a intravitreal injection for posterior uveitis as well, using the same platform.
That's terrific. And I think one of the things that you're seeing is this theme around the patient impact, right? So it's not just innovation for the sake of innovation, but truly what this means for patients. It's really, it's extraordinary work. I'm going to shift over for a moment to Morgan, because I am fascinated with space travel. I don't personally want to go to outer space yet, but you've done some amazing things. But let's take a step back for a minute. I mean, you're a busy cataract surgeon. You're developing new technologies. I don't know, while you're sleeping. I mean, you're getting lenses into outer space. You're doing podcasts, which, for those of you that haven't listened to the History of Eye Care podcast, it's really done well. And Morgan's had some incredible guests on there, and I've learned quite a bit from it. But how do you find time to do all of this? It's truly incredible. I think it's just a little bit of inspiration for all of us. But how do you find the time, and what really goes through your mind when you're developing these things?
I would love to have a great sage answer for you. I think it's primarily just lack of sleep. I stay up really late. I'm a night owl, and I have 3 kids, and so I think for me, doing things with my kids and working a lot in the garage, it's incredible the things that kids come up with and their creativity. I've piggybacked off of some of my kids' ideas so many times. I had this intraocular hole punch device that literally came to me when I was watching some of my kids use a hole punch to fixate something. I was like, why don't we do that for a lens? And now it's a device you can buy. It's been used all over the world. And it was literally just from listening to my children. So I think that all of that inspiration is there in our everyday lives if we just know to look for it or are open to it.
Well, maybe I know you've got a couple things. You have a couple pending patents for devices, and some updates and blades and things like that. Maybe can you give us just a sneak peek of some of the cool things you're working on?
Yeah, so a couple interesting things. So One thing is a pinhole optic that actually is an onlay, so it's something that gets placed in the capsular bag on top of a lens, and there's a lot of reasons to consider doing that. There's a new blade. We haven't had really a blade innovation in the ophthalmic space in decades, and so that's something that I'm hoping we'll see here in the next year or two actually on the market and be commercialized, because it's a significantly more sustainable blade design than what we have currently. And then I think what I'm most excited about is as Anthony was saying, space travel. I'm a big space geek, and I recently, just in working with Space Center Houston and Aegis Aerospace, we sent 135 IOLs to the space station. We're actually going to mount them on the outside of the space station. Why in the world would we do this, right? What's the point? Well, we know that if any product that gets shipped anywhere has temperature and humidity requirements. We don't really know what those are for space. I know that in my lifetime, someone will need an ocular surgery off of this planet. It's going to happen. And we have to figure out what's the cheapest, most economical, and safest way to ship lenses on a one-way trip to the moon or Mars, most likely Mars, because if someone develops a cataract on Mars, or a child is born on Mars and is a -6 and needs a corrective surgery, sending ICLs one way could make a lot of sense, right? It makes more sense than trying to ship a big excimer laser up there to do LASIK or PRK. So all of these things we have to think through and figure out, how do we transport these lenses safely, and that's really what we're doing. So we're going to get these lenses back after being mounted, and then Liliana Werner over at Moran is going to help analyze them and kind of let us know what happened, because it's high UV, high elemental oxygen, as well as just kind of the aura of the space station that impacts all of these different lenses.
Well, we're interested to hear feedback.
Yeah, are you taking volunteers for this mission trip?
Yeah, it's scratching the surface. What I'm hoping is that when someone at SpaceX or Axiom is like, we want someone to do something in space, who is that guy that sent the random, then someone will think of me and then I'll be able to go. But I don't know Elon very well, so.
Well, that's exciting, very exciting. So I have two questions left for the panel, and we'll go down the end. One of them is, really, I know you're all working on very cool technologies, but if you think about all of eye care, in your opinion, what is the biggest unmet need in eye care today? Maybe, Liane, we can start with you.
Yeah, well, a few things. First, when you think about an unmet need, you can look to the World Health Organization, which tells us that the top 2 causes of reversible blindness are refractive error and cataracts. And we believe the Adaptilens accommodating IOL can cure both of those problems. People are living longer, and we all want the best possible quality of life we can get. And that's another reason I think our accommodating lens will allow an improved quality of life, spectacle independence. People can go out and play pickleball, and they can drive and look at the GPS and look at the road and not worry about their vision and their range of vision. So I believe that the Adaptilens accommodating IOL will be the biggest disruptor.
Well, we're counting on you.
Thank you.
Susan, how about you?
Yeah, for me, I think I'm most encouraged by the work being done in cell and gene therapy, right? So we've got 300 million people in the world with rare diseases, and over 2 million of these have been born, right? Loss of function and blindness from genes, right? So gone wrong, and I think we're getting closer. We saw Luxturna get to the market, and I think we're getting closer to seeing companies be commercially successful. Because we're seeing genetic testing and the cost of genetic testing coming down, as well as the ability to produce these cell and gene therapies. There's more options out there. Costs are coming down on there as well. Having AI is really going to help get patients to therapies faster. It takes 7 years on average for a rare disease patient to get diagnosed. So through genetic testing and getting diagnosis, now we need the therapies. And we've got great companies out there working on them. We'll see some of those later today in discussions, but I think I'm most encouraged with that and the changes we'll see in the next 5 to 10 years.
That's great. There's a lot there. Patrick?
Great. I agree on the cell and gene, by the way. I'm highly encouraged by that. I think disease-modifying therapies is where we need to be, not just treating symptoms. And I would say, of course, SpyGlass is definitely focused on this, but the durability of the medicines that we have today. We see this trend in medical retina, right? We were injecting once every 4 weeks, and now we're trying to get out to 6 to 9 months. Great for patients, great for disease-modifying therapy or quality of life even for patients. In glaucoma, we can do better. We can get beyond months. We can get to 3 years from a SpyGlass target and longer. We actually have more payload in our system. And so I'd love to get to a space where we can put this in once for a patient and care for that patient over their lifetime. And we can do this. And so I see the significant advance of durable therapies in all areas of both retinal and glaucoma therapies being a significant advance for the future.
I agree with all of that. I think some better diagnostics that will help prospectively evaluate what is going to happen over the course of a patient's lifetime, whether it's in glaucoma or the refractive error. When is a patient going to develop a cataract? That may inform your decision to intervene. If they want better vision, they want their presbyopia treated, and you can predict that they're going to develop a cataract in 5 years, it may change your algorithm compared to if they're going to develop it in 20 years. Same with glaucoma. If you know what rate the patient may change, and some epigenetics and genetics can play a big role in that as well, then I think that's going to be important. And I think the other big area is just presbyopia. It's something we have not been able to really address. We've tried, we've had lots of different things come out and techniques. So there are some companies working on some really exciting technology. One is Ace Vision with scleral microporation. So I'm excited to see what happens there, because again, I think it's such an untapped market. We've seen drops try and fail from Vuity to, yes, we can go full on surgery and do a refractive lens exchange, but we need something that really bridges that gap.
So my response to this question is a little bit different, not focused around product, but really around affordability and accessibility to care in the developing world, and really thinking about the fact that there's so many patients out there that just don't have access to comprehensive eye exams. Their diseases are going undiagnosed, they're progressing and going blind. And I think as an industry, and even as Elios, there's so much we can do philanthropically on mission trips to serve these patients and either help with product, with funding, or just with time to go and perform surgeries and provide product to these patients in need.
That's great, Cari. All this great technology and innovation, it doesn't do any good if we can't get it to patients, right? So that's really, really great thinking. We've got time for one more. I want to make the panel a little bit uncomfortable now. I'm going to ask just one innovation that you think, and we're going to narrow it down to the next 5 to 10 years, right? So not 20 years out, but the next 5 to 10 years. We had GLP-1s, a year and a half ago or so, 2 years ago, that seemed like they came out of nowhere and really disrupted the market. What is that next disruptor in eye care in the next 5 to 10 years? What is that one thing we're going to be up here at OIS in 2035 or 2030 even, and saying we were here when someone predicted that disruptor was going to hit the market? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My guess is a smart lens, either a cataract lens or an IOL that incorporates technology. Think of something that could monitor your health data, send it to your phone. If you're a diabetes patient, it could possibly monitor your glucose. It could even provide augmented reality experiences and totally change the way we experience the world.
Mm-hmm. Cari, is that an intraocular lens or a contact?
Or a contact lens, either.
Okay.
Yeah, just a smart lens in general.
Okay, I like it.
I think it's going to be AI and robotics in their role in us as surgeons and in our patients' lives. I think we're going to have very predictive models on just how the eye functions and works, and those 3D models will then be used to inform robotics that help assist with surgeries. So, again, access to care, right? I can only perform one cataract surgery at a time, but with robotics, still being surgeon-led, you can do multiple. So I think there's some exciting technology there, and I do think we'll start seeing some of those really break through in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
I would say cell and gene therapies are super exciting to shift how we take care of patients, from treating symptoms to actually modifying the disease, whether it's inherited retinal diseases, corneal diseases. I think these are really important therapies, and we don't have much today to offer these patients. And so I think that's one significant shift. And I honestly think the next significant shift for all of us in the room is how we take care of chronic patients with glaucoma and retinal diseases. We're going to change the paradigm from taking monthly or daily drops to something of significant duration. And so the standard of care, I think, will significantly shift versus what we've seen over the last 75 years.
So Patrick, just one follow-up question. In the next 5 to 10 years, do you see that you'll treat glaucoma and essentially the patient will not have to do drops anymore? I mean, do you see
There'll always be drops. I believe that to be true, and it's a great place to start, right? We need to know that the therapy works for patients. But to rely on the adherence of the patient, we've known for decades it doesn't work. So I think we're going to be using a lot more lasers to treat patients earlier, to take that compliance away from the patient and actually treat the disease quickly, and to shift the needle from daily dependence on drops to putting them inside the eye and actually taking better care of patients.
That's a great day. Susan, how about you?
Yeah, just to cue off what Patrick said, so for me, I see the same world as it relates to glaucoma, despite all the advances that we've had in both pharmaceuticals and interventional glaucoma and diagnostics, right? We really do need to solve this problem, and I think it's hopefully sitting 10 years from now when we're here, we're not going to have people, losing sight to glaucoma, that this is something that we can solve. And it's incumbent on everyone in this room from an investment perspective to continue to invest in the advances that it's going to take to get us to that point where we no longer have glaucomatous vision loss.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that one huge innovation would be to redefine what reversible blindness is. So, right now we're looking at refractive error and cataracts, and we think things like Stargardt's and RP are irreversible. But one day they will be reversible with things like cell and gene therapy. So that would be amazing to make things that have been always seen as just a permanent deficit and actually bring back vision with things like cell and gene therapy.
That's terrific. Well, these are the brightest visionaries, the most disruptive people. So you all heard it. So whether you're in the audience as an investor or as a surgeon or an inventor or a banker, these are the areas that they see in the next 5 to 10 years. These are the biggest unmet needs. I don't know about all of you, but I feel really good about where our space is going, what this means for patients, and I am truly grateful to this panel for this discussion. So thank you very much.